Hey Leo, welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I am so grateful that you are here, especially you, Leo, just because it is, you know, so much of what's going on right now is strangely enough actually in your wheelhouse of the fifth house, Leo. So this weekly forecast is for Leo rising, and then Leo moon, and then Leo sun, in that order. And specifically Leo rising, because this is the area, or how we designate the areas of life that most of these main transits are going to impact. So if you haven't watched the general astrology report for this week, this is the week of December 10th to the full moon on December 18th. If you haven't watched the generalized astrology report where I go into specific detail about all of these transits, you can do so by just scrolling down here on BitChute if that's where you're finding this, or you can wait till the end of the video and it'll be linked at the very end of this video that you can watch it, because that's a lot more detail about the astrology as a whole. This is going to be just a quick check-in for you Leos and showing you which areas of your chart so you know what areas of life they may be impacting. And overall, Leo, it's time to take some risks here and really step into the place where you extract the most meaning for yourself, which is in your own authentic and creative expression. So I actually pulled the Page of Wands for you before I hit the record button, and as I was preparing to give this report, and just a generalized idea here about, beginning a creative venture and, an enthusiastic young person, like a message and a new position when it comes to creative endeavors. And since the solar eclipse did happen in your fifth house, this is where the sun currently is. Mars just entered into your fifth house. This is the Leo wheelhouse. This is the house of creative expression, authentic expression, solar energy, and how we each are our own sovereign selves. So, our joy is here, our passion is here, our optimism is here, and it leads to certain types of actions of that can be very combust, right? Taking very, social risks, or romance and dating, and very playful in nature. Also, too, this is where it can go the other end and you get narcissism and love of power. So what I do feel, though, ultimately, because of the nature of Neptune and the moon in the eighth house for Leo, is that a lot of Leos, I think, not all of them, but I get the distinct sense that this very watery, very diffused, naturally energy in your eighth house, with Pisces in your eighth house, with Neptune and the moon over the weekend in this area, squaring all of this really solar, and you have the sun in your fifth house, your ruling planet, or your chart ruler. The sun really pushes the individuation process for the Leo. It's what really identifies you as a personality, is in the fifth house. And so very strong in terms of this, but I do see how your power is, how you may feel very disempowered when it comes to your relationship to society, or to whatever relationship that you're in. And not so much that you're totally powerless, but when you have, let's, for instance, take Neptune in the eighth house. Because ultimately I feel like that what's going to be happening for Leo is not only this focus on the 5th and 11th house, which we'll get into, because the full moon in Gemini will happen in the 11th house, which is the social order, the social organism that you realize yourself within, right? The full experience of the collective, your neighborhood, your social networks, the town you belong to, the larger social context is where will be a big reveal for all of us, but for you in particular, especially about how you feel in relation to this, and your ability to reflect back out very much the social failures or successes that you are a part of, but also too this Venus and Pluto coming together in Capricorn, and then also the 8th house, and then Chiron is going to be factoring in a lot this week, just mostly because Mercury will square Chiron, and a lot of trauma when it comes to meaning itself and the meaning that you really create with others within, and what gives you the that real fire to actually create something and to step into your mission. So I think ultimately Leos are embarking on a journey that started with the eclipse, on the 4th of December, the solar eclipse. We're all having an experience of purification over the next couple of months in terms of meaning and what is it in reference to our cultural value system and our belief systems in general, and things like religion and philosophy, and how we understand the big picture. It's for all of us, there are things that need to come to the surface in order to be cleared away about these value systems, so that they don't influence the new system, right? There's a sense of retribution, but also just becoming clear about what has been, so that we don't institute that again. Everybody's going through this with the eclipse, but for Leos, it's very much in your Leo house of creative expression and taking social risks and finding your joy and your authenticity in life, which is exactly what a Leo really is. And so you extract the meaning from these types of activities. So there's something there that wants to come to the surface and be cleared away in terms of your creative expression, how you're finding your joy. And I would say that now that Mars is in this area for you, there's going to be a lot of stirring about these past situations that have had meaning for us and have driven the Leos specifically to want to express that through some sort of creative endeavor, or to go into a new creative pursuit. So ultimately, I think that what you're going to see is what isn't working for you in your larger social context, based on what is timeless in terms of your own sovereign nature, if that makes sense. So the moon's going to really reflect back. You will be almost like this strange conduit or reflector of the social order by way of your own expression, Leo. However that ends up being expressed for you, because that'll be different based on every person. But I think there's been a very distinct disempowerment that was brought really to the surface and made very obvious to the Leo with these squares. One was the sun squaring the first quarter moon, right? That crisis in action. And then the sun itself squaring Neptune, that has been in your 8th house for years and will continue to be here. So when you have the sun in the 5th house, like I said, there is really vital force to express yourself in adventurous action and radiant spontaneity and artistic creativity. And it's very egocentric. And so there's a strong urge for the use of power. But when meeting in a square to Neptune and the moon in your 8th house, where the power of our collective action is generated, it's almost like it just completely turned into, took all of that really combust energy and just dissipate it entirely. And with Neptune being there for so long, I mean, this has been an ongoing thing where you've either completely dedicated to yourself to some sort of cause and the outcome of that cause, or being very humanitarian, but it also has made you very easily deluded when you're working out a relationship issue, or very vulnerable, or passive in times of crisis, right? Neptune does nothing for taking action or even setting good boundaries. It really just diffuses everybody into whatever is around. And in the 8th house, it's all water, right? Yes, for you, because it's Pisces. So there's already the tendency to find your power from the fact that we're all connected. But with Neptune there, there's not a lot of distinction between yourself and what is being produced in your relationships. And with the Moon there, I think it was like. It either showed you like a magic mirror what was happening, or it just increased your passive sacrifice to the relationship in general. And what we're going to find here is the ego itself, especially for the Leo in the fifth house, really struggling with the complete dissolving into the intensity of feeling of just being in the world, right? And it's really hard to take initiative and take social risks when you can't really even gather the power from your own investments in life, right? And that's been the case, I think, for Leo for a while with Neptune in the eighth house. The other side of that is the incredible humanitarian outlook and the complete dedication to a cause. And so if you've been experiencing that at some level, and there are, people that you can identify who are Leo rising out in the public, probably, that you can see have been like completely dedicated to this realm of social life. But so this square, I think for Leo, very, I don't want to say disempowering, but it's very hard. It's a lot harder to keep up the combustion of this really strong motive when the realm of power dynamics in general has become even more nebulous and watery and maybe dispersed and diffused. And the moon at that point made it really, like I said, it either was like total confusion and just made it even more so, or you got a magic mirror effect, right? You got some sort of insight into what is going on in this realm. So now Mars has moved into your fifth house. Mercury has now moved into your sixth house. So in terms of having a lot of initiative and action in terms of the fifth house, boy, there's gonna be a lot of force to your desires, big time. Big time. Projects into all enterprises will be entered into with no fear or little reservation and a craving to take risks. Be careful, Leo. Be careful what you give all of your energy to, right? Especially with the sun here and having it being eclipsed at a new moon. Just be very, very mindful. But also, too, realize that you are truly able to harness this energy and go forward in some sort of creative enterprise or to fulfill your desires as an individual person. We all want to shine as brightly as we are capable. And Leos, especially Leos. So this is a very dynamic time. So Mercury has gone into the sixth house as well. So Venus and Pluto are in your sixth house. All right. Pluto's been in your sixth house for years and years and years. Now that Venus is here, it is bringing these themes right to a sense of value and worth and security for Leo and, well, for all of us, really. But for you in particular, it's in the area of what are you doing on the daily? It's one thing to express your creativity through some sort of process. What is it that allows your passion to flow and to find your, what allows you to express your voice and to expand truly who you are? It's another thing entirely to put it to work, right? What are you doing on a daily basis? Now, ever since Pluto came into Capricorn, depending on where your sixth house cusp really lies, is, you've been going through a very, very powerful metamorphosis of what you're doing on a daily basis ever since 2008 is when Pluto came into Capricorn. So depending on where this cusp is for you will really show like when this power really kicked on into this area. But now that Venus is here, there's a lot of value and meaning to the process of change. And when you have Venus here in general, you may be sensitive to the process, but there's a lot of meaning that you get and self-worth you get from your personal reconstitution process. And you can transfigure your own suffering by being as a source of inspiration for creative activity. I think this is really sticking out for me for Leos right now is Venus being in the sixth house in general allows this. And then Pluto here, it's just been really slowly but surely pulling away all of the institutional framework that you've had in terms of what are you doing on a daily basis. And this was brought right into our sensitivity in our physical realm with Venus with this conjunction. So it manifested in many different ways for people, but in the sixth house in particular for you, Leo, healing crisis. So something went sideways in terms of your either daily routine or your work routine or what you're doing on a daily basis, or something to do with your health, right? Because a healing crisis is one of the primary ways that the sixth house gets activated, so that we start to institute healthy habits and live in a higher state of wellness. So, and with Venus, a lot of times it will come through our actual body and our five senses, because that's what she rules. That's what she is. She is sensitive to the world, the physical world around her, and will use her charm and magnetism to bring to her what she wants. It's just now that she's in Capricorn, it's like she's way more mature about it, and is about to cross over Pluto again in her retrograde. So be ready for more focus, but at least at this point, it'll be internalized, and there'll be an opportunity to be like, okay, that was intense. So what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me on the inside? So for Leo, again, either a healing crisis, something went sideways in terms of your health and wellness, or in your daily routine or your habits, or what you're really giving your energy and your passion to. Now, if you are struggling to even like find yourself through your joy or passion, then you don't, there's not as much well, you have Pluto here, so that is force. But now that Mercury is here in your sixth house, which naturally is comfortable in the sixth house because it's the Virgo house and Mercury rules Virgo, and it is very much a Earth sign still, and is not fixed like Taurus is. So there's, the Leo person is, really, it's bringing themselves to a state of like responsibility and authority and like boss mode that really characterizes how they get their shit together, is like stepping into this role in their own journey. So Mercury coming into this realm, you're going to start really thinking about this, really putting some mental effort and cognition towards dealing with these problems, and really thinking objectively about the adjustments you have to make, like really being meticulous about it and looking at the details and analyzing it, where you need to devote energy to issues that are bigger than just yourself, but really about the issue of getting your shit together, right? Using your mind in the service of self-transformation. You're really going to start thinking about it. So when it gets stuck, though, with Mercury here is the fact that it's going to be in a square with Chiron. So this is going to happen closer to on the day of the full moon in Gemini, actually. What I see for Leo is a pretty... ultimately, like the general idea here is a moment of clarity about where you are in the grand scheme of things and if you want to stay there or not, right? And it's going to have a lot to do with the way that, are you actually able to fully express and expand on your own true nature in the situation that you're in. So now and thinking about it is great, right? Mercury in the sixth house is very good, and really starting to take it seriously, like really being objective about it, but it's going to square Chiron. So Chiron in your ninth house is where this wounding of self and the trauma of imposed identities that we feel ashamed of or guilty about, or falling back into the victim savior, wounded healer narrative. For you, Leo, it's in the area of belief systems and meaning, right? So the meaning that you are even operating under, and the cultural values that are the fire of your own alchemical transmutation, this is where guilt is stepping in, right? And so there's something about belief system, there's something about the cultural value system, there's something about the big picture and your ability to access these realms that it's really hard for you to do because you keep getting pulled into the narrative of your own shame and guilt about who you are, or getting pulled into the wounded healer role when you need to be able to concentrate on just the potential of your own subjective growth and the freedom to be able to do that. And for Leo, the meaning and the big picture is really characterized by your ability to align with the spark of life. There's something very important about the freedom that is necessary so that you can access the more abstract and to synthesize new concepts and go into the realms of philosophy. But it requires that you're able to be yourself in your full Leo nature and to concentrate on all of the potential of what you can become at your highest version. And something in your belief system is pulling you out of that and into this wounded healer or victim narrative. And it's going to have a lot to do with where are your thoughts on a daily basis? Where is the frequency band of your thought process? What information are you on a daily basis interacting with, consuming, analyzing, and what resonance are you tuned into? Because that's going to make a big difference. Now, on one hand, you know that there's one band of this is very obviously glaring, right? In terms of your own value and what you value, what's valuable to you as a person. And the value of your suffering, and the value of the process of going through personal challenge. It's one thing to value it. It's another to actually feel the transformation and the raw power of it with Pluto come right into your lap. And that's seriously what seemed to be happening here. And it's in that realm of this, either a healing crisis or a health crisis or just any kind of crisis in your routine and what you're doing on a daily basis. And so what frequency are you tuned to? Because that's going to have a big impact on your overall belief system ultimately. And so if you tune into a frequency band on a regular basis that is reinforcing your Chiron wounding narrative, then this square is just going to make it even more obvious. No matter what, it's going to be more obvious because the square is uncomfortable. You're going to have to see the discomfort no matter what. But best case scenario is that you realize that you need to be in tune on a regular basis with the frequency band that allows you to cultivate your higher self. And when you do that, then you see, that has a direct impact on what I believe and how I am able to synthesize all of these aspects into meaning, right? Ultimately, it comes down to the meaning that truly is like I said, the catalyzing factor for alchemy. And, your 10th house has got Uranus right now. So, in terms of career and mission, nothing is steady. And it's all up in the air right now. And it's constantly being shifted around. And you're constantly seeing infinite potential in terms of what that means. So, but Leo, when the full moon comes, it'll be the sun at the galactic center in your 5th house. Okay. And what has worked in terms of how you express yourself and your authenticity creatively? What is timeless and what is the direct codes from the center of the galaxy that is going to come right through you? And I think Leo, specifically through your own voice and through your own Leo-ness, right? You're just being authentically yourself and shining. You are going to shine right on all of the full experience of I think you'll just kind of get fed up, honestly. I think that's really what's going to happen. So you'll reflect the achievements, and you'll also, through your expression and your voice, you'll also reflect the injustices and the failures. And the moon in the 11th house in general is going to focus a collective feeling sometimes of rebellion and public discontent. So I do feel like the Leos are going to really be the voice box of all of this, especially with Mars coming into your 5th house. Again, craving social risks and really wanting to dominate and having a lot of fire behind it. This could go really, really well, or it could go very, very poorly, because Mars in Sagittarius wants to go to war. So if you can channel that energy, Leo, through a creative and authentic expression, what comes out in terms of the social organism as a whole, in how you feel about it, you'll be able to finally let go of what's not working for you, and you can actually get on with this new creative endeavor, whatever it is. And Black Moon Lilith, of course, is also in your 11th house. So whether you like it or not, there's a primal need to be heard. There is a primal need for this part of you to come out and demands to be heard. So it's so powerful that if you don't realize how powerful it is, it'll come out anyway, and it'll be very toxic, and may, again, with all this craving of wanting to take risks, be very mindful, Leo, that you are just 100% in tune with the highest vibration. And this is going to be a big part of Mercury in the 6th house squaring Chiron, because what you have discovered is, so far, you are not, what's going on in the daily is not working for you. And that became very clear with this weekend. And so we're all crossing a threshold. So with this full moon, there's going to be a big, like I said, you're going to see what that you want to be released from in the world around you, so that you can move forward, right? Move forward. And you'll have no choice, really. Black Moon Lilith, she's going to come out whether she demands to be heard, whether you're conscious of it or not. So this is a power that we all can utilize if we're aware of that self-preservation primal element. So don't do anything hasty, Leo, right? But allow as well. Don't squash your voice, and see it as a transformational time, specifically of how you can use your very nature to express yourself so fully in a way that actually reflects the good in society, right? And what needs to be released as well. Maybe it's just as simple as just being like, enough, I'm just going to speak it. I'm just going to say it, right? But it can also have a lot of different ways it can be expressed. So Leo, that's pretty powerful. And I'm interested in to see how this unfolds for you. So if you are interested in a reading or in energetic work to support your process, you can do so by going to any of the links in the description box below, or you can just stand by and get some more information at the end of this video. And if you are watching on BitChute, you can scroll down to find the general astrology report for the 2nd lunar quarter. And if you're on YouTube, you will also have access to this at the end screen here at the end of this video. So thank you for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Leo, we will check back in next week and see how things are going after this full moon, because I think that we're going to have some things to definitely talk about. So until then, have a great week, guys. I'll see you next week. Take care.